What's one thing almost nobody talks about when it comes to living well into your 90s or even 100? Most people say exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management. And yeah, those all matter. But there's something else, something that gets ignored far too often that might be even more important: your spinal posture, specifically how well your mid and upper back hold up over time. Because your posture isn't just about how you look, it's a reflection of how well your body is functioning and how long it might stay that way. So, today, let's get into why posture and spinal alignment, especially in your mid back, might be one of the most important yet most overlooked keys to staying healthy and active as you age. So, what are we talking about here? It's the thoracic hyperkyphosis. I wanted to give you a picture and image of what that actually looks like. It's what's, commonly known as the hunchback type posture. It's the excessive rounding of the mid back. So you see here a normal healthy posture, head over the shoulders, over the pelvis, nice and centered with gravity, and also the three balanced curves of the spine: one in the neck, one in the mid back, and one in the low back. And we want a kyphosis. We want this mid back posture. We don't want a hyperkyphosis, an increase in that curve. And you can see what happens is it because 60% of our mass is in the rib cage area, in the mid back area. What happens is if this gets rounded and pushed back, well, now it's going to direct and dictate where the head and the low back and the pelvis go to compensate for that. So you see here are x-rays with a hyperkyphosis. Green is normal and aligned with these three balanced curves. So aligned with gravity and has those balanced curves. The red is where these patients are and where their spine is located. So you see rounded here, rounded mid back, rounded mid back. Again, not on the center of gravity, not following these three balanced curves. So yes, it's more than just a cosmetic concern as the hunchback posture. It's also, been known to cause serious health problems, and that's what research has shown. So here you see two landmark studies, two amazing studies. There's been more, but these have been published in the Annals of Internal Medicine and in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. And they found that with hyperkyphosis, that rounding, excessive rounding, there's 58% more likely, the people that they studied, more likely to die early, 2.5 more times more likely to die from atherosclerosis, so heart issues, clogging of the arteries, twice as likely to die from lung related problems, and 1.44 times more likely to die from all causes. Now, this was regardless of osteoporosis or a fragile spine. So even if you don't have that, that's independent of those findings. So let that sink in. Even if you don't have osteoporosis, an excessive curve in the mid back can cause problems in the mortality and how long you live, obviously, and how well you live as well, and how healthy you live. How does it have this effect? Well, it's pretty simple, right? When your spine curves too far forward in the mid back, it can, it puts mechanical load on the lungs, making it harder to breathe, affects your oxygen levels, how your body can handle stress and activity. And it affects your circulation, your balance, your stability, and how well you can move safely. And because the heart is right there in the mid back, it affects the heart as well. And it turns out that it can even affect how your immune system, your digestion, your metabolism, your hormones, because it affects the nervous system as well, right? Because your nervous system, your spinal cord is inside your spine. Your spine protects it. And when it's healthy and balanced, your spine, then now your spinal cord can stay relaxed. But in this excessive rounded posture in the mid-back, in the spine, well, guess what happens? Now, think about your spinal cord like a rubber band. It stretches it, and it's stressed and strained and tense, and that communication from the brain to those organs can't be full, can't be, is optimal as it can't be optimal. So then now the nervous system is stressed, which affects your immune system, affects your digestion, your sleep, your hormone regulation. So that's a lot more than just, okay, I want to look good standing up straight. Yes, that's important, but it is affecting how your organs are functioning and can affect how your organs are functioning. So what do we do about this? What has been shown to work? So here's a study that done. We want to know, all right, what can you do? Correct? How can we reverse this? There's, yes, standing up straight, sitting up straight, basic exercises and stretches are important. But when it gets in this thoracic hyperkyphosis, many times it's not enough. We need external methods to help get in a more upright posture. And that's what you see here with specific forms of traction, it's called, and then even exercises to reverse the roundedness, reverse the hunchback, not just bringing the shoulders back, but actually correcting the spine. So here are some in-office modalities, and you see we aim to overcorrect it while you're in that type of traction. And what this does is, unlike with just exercise, the traction doesn't just move the muscles, it stretches your spine in the opposite direction of the curve. And over time, this helps to remold the tight ligaments that have been deformed. It repositions and holds the vertebrae, and then that reduces the pressure on the joints, the nerves, and the nerves going to the organs, and also taking the stress off the organs, the mechanical stress if there's some on the lungs, the heart, because of the position that your body is in. And we're not forcing anything. It might be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be unbearable or painful when we do this. This is so your spine can actually support your posture instead of working against it. Exercises, yes, these are important too. But in this study where they looked at 7 different studies and put them together and showed that a spinal correction program that incorporates traction and exercises over 14 weeks saw an average of 12 degrees of improvement in the spinal curve. With the mid back, with the kyphosis, a normal kyphosis, right, the curve should be 40 degrees. When it's excessive, when it gets to 50, 55 degrees, 60 degrees, and it can't hold itself against gravity, just you can't consciously do that over and over again. That's why the traction comes into play. So with this study, it showed 12 degrees of improvement. So if you were at 55 degrees, you might have got to 43 degrees, which is a lot closer, taking a lot of stress and strain off of your spine, off of your organs and nerves. So that's a huge deal. And it compared that to exercise only programs, and they only saw a 3-degree improvement. So if you're at 55 degrees, 3-degree improvement, it's 52, it's better, but you're still above that range where causing a lot of stress and strain on your nerves, organs, joints, discs, and causing more problems. And yes, the numbers, are something that we look at as feedback, but it's more even like, okay, what is this? Did this do for their health? Well, the better posture, easier mobility, and even better lung function. So here I want to give you something that possibly you can do at home, and I'm also going to link to my favorite posture exercises. So the posture training, posture exercise portion of this. So this is a home type traction that you can use items around your house, like a blanket, like a towel. And if you notice that you're in a slumped posture, a slouched posture, your head's going forward, you're feeling stiff, you can't rotate very well from your rib cage, this is a good place to start. You can fold up a blanket, maybe an inch to 2 inches thick if you're really restricted. For example, if you put your back up against the wall with your feet maybe like 6 inches, the heel 6 inches away from your the wall, and lean your back and your hips up against it, and you can't take your head to touch the wall, again, you're pretty restricted. Or even if you lay down flat on the floor or a hard surface and it's hard for your head to touch the floor, again, you might only need an inch of thickness in the blanket to provide a little counterforce. So 1 to 2 inches in this thickness, it goes right in the mid back underneath the shoulder blades. Okay, so the shoulder blades like right here. So the top of the towel right at the top of the shoulder blades. And you can also add a neck support, roll up a towel or a pillow of some sort and put it in the middle of your neck, not under your head, but in the middle of your neck. So as you lay back, your neck curve is supported and your head neck, your neck is supported, not causing stress and strain there. And you would start laying on this, you'd start at a minute. Okay, you try to lay on it for a minute. Remember, it might be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be unbearable. It might even feel comfortable, might even feel good as you do it. But you increase the time every day that you lay on it, as long as there's no symptoms, no numbness, tingling, excessive pain or discomfort. Be careful if you have osteoporosis or if you have, especially if you've experienced fractures. Again, that's why this is soft. It should be soft in the beginning as you are getting used to this. So you start at a minute, increase it by a minute each day till you work up to 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. That is a good beginner type traction that you can perform at home. But, if you want to be more thorough with you, because your spine is different than mine, somebody else's spine watching this is different than yours. So that's why if you want to get more dialed in with your posture, with your spine in alignment and spinal mobility, I do assessments and I do these virtually. So if you have Zoom, we can do this from anywhere in the world. All I need is a camera to assess yours so I can give you more specific recommendations on how to correct the kyphosis, hyperkyphosis, how to correct the spinal posture, so then you can see and feel the benefits of what that means for your overall health. So if you're dealing with restricted and immobility, can't walk as well, poor balance, even poor breathing, all right, this is a great way to go. I'll supply that link in the description, as well as the exercises, my favorite postural exercises to get started on. And hope you like this. Make sure to like, subscribe. And as always, my goal is to help you be your own guarantee for your health in your life. Till next time.